Yo, what's going on, guys? Kitty here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you guys the 15 best decks for the 15 arenas here in Clash Royale. If you guys do want to skip ahead to your arena, there are timestamps in the description down below, so make sure you guys head over there if you guys are only really trying to find like arena for arena 14, 15, 13, etc, etc. So if you guys do enjoy the video, please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so for Arena 1, the Goblin Stadium, of course, it's not really that much difference of a deck you can pick. This is a deck I would have picked to be my #1 deck in the Goblin Stadium, just because the Goblin Cage is a really good, you have a defensive building, the only defensive building you have in Arena 1, and it's probably one of the most versatile, because you can have a defensive building, plus you can have a counter-pushing troop right after that as well. Of course, the way you want to play this deck, it doesn't really matter too much in Arena 1 because not many people are going to be that experienced playing against the cards, but basically what you want to do is you want to just play defense, then just play a giant plus a mini P.E.K.K.A. The only possible substitutions you could do in this deck instead of Spear Goblins would be the minions. But I wouldn't really substitute anything else in this deck. Just keep it how it is. It's very, very simple overall. Not really that difficult to play overall, I would say. It's just counter push with the giant in front of it, with the Goblin Brawler, maybe even a mini P.E.K.K.A. behind, and just have the arrows ready. Alright guys, so in Arena 2, the only really card you need to change is going to be being the Skarmy for the Spear Goblins. So the Skarmy provides a lot of value on defense versus mini P.E.K.K.A.s, Princes, Giants, and even Musketeers as well. Probably is one of the most useful cards in the lower arenas, especially even in high arenas as well. You can use that as a bait card, or you can use that as a quick distraction for, let's say, incoming single target units. So Skarmy, of course, you unlock. Obviously, you can choose between the Skarmy and the Baby Dragon, but personally, I would pick the Skarmy because a Baby Dragon doesn't really do too much DPS, and you already have the splash with the arrows and the fireball as well. You can unlock Baby Dragon later anyways. I would just personally recommend to pick Skarmy just because of all the Princes, the mini P.E.K.K.A.s, and even in the battle round that we're coming out here in Barbarian Bowl, which you definitely will face. If you guys just want to get there, just use the same deck you used in Arena 1, which is the deck I showed before, and yeah, let's move on to Arena 3. Basically, Arena 3 will be the same as Arena 2. There's not really too many cards that you can unlock here. You might as well stick to this deck because it's just a lot better than the other cards in this arena, especially at that lower level. The Skarmy is really, really valuable, as I said earlier, and then the Goblin Cage is your defense plus offense, a counter push. Really, really valuable in this arena, so definitely do pick this deck again. I would say this is the best deck for P.E.K.K.A.'s Playhouse because the P.E.K.K.A. is a really good epic card, and combined with a Goblin Barrel plus a Skarmy, which is like a little bit of a lockbait variant, it's a very, very tricky for the opponents to deal with because the P.E.K.K.A. has a lot of HP at level 6, especially for those troops down there. You can take out Giants very easily, you can take out other opposing mini P.E.K.K.A.s, and a lot of opponents don't really know what to do with the P.E.K.K.A. Especially because you can protect it with the arrows, and you can also just protect it with a Musketeer, and Archers, a Fireball, a Skarmy even, and you can just Goblin Barrel on the tower, which is another one of your win conditions here. So you don't really get too many win conditions in lower arenas, but I would say this is your best bet. You have to play very, very slow in single elixir, but once double hits, you can play a little bit more aggressively, and triple elixir is just where this deck shines. Just absolutely rolls the enemy with the Goblin Barrel plus the Skarmy, so that's the best deck that you can use. Alright, so we put in the Witch instead of the Archers, just because the Witch you unlock a little bit later in Spell Valley. She's definitely one of the most valuable epics you can pick. As you can see with the trend here, there's a lot of epics you can pick of in these arenas. And the more epics you have, the better you are going to be against the people that don't have that many epics, which wasn't the case a couple of years ago. Now you have 4 epics in your deck with the Fireball Zap, the Musketeer, which is a very good air defense against balloons, against lava hounds. Your Witch is going to be very, very good behind the P.E.K.K.A. Make sure you always put the P.E.K.K.A. in front of the Witch because she's very, very hard to kill behind the P.E.K.K.A. Even if you put a Valkyrie, you can even place a Zap to reset, to stun the Valkyrie for a second so the P.E.K.K.A. should get another swing off. It's a very, very counter push heavy deck for sure. Now, the epics are already higher leveled, so the lower level common cards won't really one-shot it. So you can just keep level 6, level 7, level 8 epics. Doesn't really matter too much. Of course, the higher levels you have, the better results you will have. But I've played level 1 myself, so I know you need to have as many epics as you can in the deck because they are very, very strong at level 6. So yeah, that's my Arena 4 deck. Let's move on to Arena 5. Alright, so Arena 5, you get your first Legendary at 1950 trophies. Now, Really, the only legendary that you can get that doesn't synergize very well with this deck is the Princess, because you don't really have like the bait element aspect just yet. You don't have the log, you don't have Goblin Gang, you don't have like the original log bait deck. So just forever, what legendary you get, you want to just replace either the Goblin Barrel with, or you want to replace the Skarmy with. You can also replace the Goblin Cage if you want to, but if you'd rather not have a defense, then put a legendary there instead. What will really work really well with this deck, legendary-wise, is a Royal Ghost, a Miner, a Bandit, for instance, a Lumberjack. Any of those cards you can bridge spam with, like a Bandit, a Ghost, a Lumberjack, is a very good substitution for Goblin Barrel, because then you can put a Lumberjack in front of it and everything gets rage. That's my recommendation for once you get to 1950 trophies. Just use this deck until you get about 1950 trophies. Substitute out the Goblin Barrel for the legendary you get. Except on one exception, or actually two exceptions. If you get a Lava Hound, do not put it in a deck. It's one of the worst legendaries you can get. If that doesn't synergize at all, you have to make a completely new deck. Same with the Princess. Those two do not synergize at all with this deck. Graveyard actually could do very, very well here. But then I would put in arrows again instead of zap. Just because if you zap, then the target will retarget into the Graveyard Skeletons. Not going to do as much damage with the as with the arrows, for instance. Now, I would just focus on the deck you've been using for the past couple arenas that has been working out quite well, because the epics there are really, really good. Once you unlock the Dark Prince, probably is one of the best splashing troops here that you can use for the Royal Arena. It would look something like this. So, obviously you would have a different legendary than me. I'm not really too sure what legendary you could have, but I would just replace the Musketeer with it. With the legendary you have. So now it's coming more and more like a P.E.K.K.A beatdown deck. Obviously, it's a very, very strong deck in double and triple. So you want to be very careful when you do in single elixir, but I believe this is probably your best bet on climbing the ladder very easily. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using this deck for sure. It has the splash, it has the well, I don't really have too many offensive cards. You have a lot of counter push. Now, counter pushing is a very, very important part in Clash Royale. The Dark Prince can actually hop over the river and snipe troops, if you guys did not know that, since they updated that a couple months ago. If you're new to Clash Royale, well, Dark Princes can actually hop over the river. You place them at the river. So you can easily just snipe Inferno Towers, you can snipe any of the troops that are just standing right at the river. You can just place Dark Prince and it'll just hop over it. Very, very easily. Now, if you guys do have a Miner unlocked, you can definitely sub it in for Musketeer. If you guys have a Princess unlocked, I wouldn't bother putting it in. It just sucks. And if you guys have a log unlocked, I would just leave it out as well. Just leave the arrows in, just leave the deck how it is. It's quite strong in these arenas because people are still gonna use giants, they're gonna use hog riders, so you're gonna be able to deal with those very easily with this deck. So yeah, it's my Arena 7 deck. Let's move on to Arena 8. Alright, the Frozen Peak has a couple cards, just a bunch of freeze cards, and then a lightning spell. Not really too much you can change to the deck, other than you're gonna get an epic chest at 2400, so you might be able to upgrade your deck, but I would just leave it as it is. There's not really too much you can do. You get a lot of gold, you get some gold, you get some rare cards, so just upgrade the deck that I've been giving you, which I honestly just keep using this deck. There's no point of changing it to a lightning or a fire or a ice golem or something. It's a really, really solid deck for these arenas, once again, because you don't really have too many counters to the P.E.K.K.A, other than the Skarmy, which you can just zap away, and you can just Fireball zap a Witch as well. So I feel like this deck is probably very, very good. It's very, very good counter push. Just the only thing you have to keep aware of is what I said earlier, is in single elixir, it's a 4.1 deck, so very, very expensive in single elixir, but once double elixir hits, you can counter push with the P.E.K.K.A plus the Witch plus Dark Prince. It's a very, very hard combination to stop, especially if you have a zap in hand for the potential Valkyrie swings, or you can just prediction Fireball it as well. It doesn't really matter too much what you do, but definitely just counter push with it. It's very, very one of the best tips I can give you guys, is counter pushing is key in this game. Alright, so Jungle Arena, you do get some interesting cards here. You get cards like a new Inferno Dragon, you get cards like Goblin Gang, Poison, Goblin Giant. So, what would you pick in my deck? If you do have the Inferno Dragon, it's probably one of the best cards you can get in these arenas. I would personally sub it out for the Musketeer. Now it's more looking like a meta deck. Almost. Obviously, if you guys want to use this sort of meta deck, I would put in arrows for zap. And then you put in giant again. Now, you can do this if you want to. If you want to be safe, you can put in a P.E.K.K.A. If you want it to be a bit more risky, and just go with a big push with a giant, if you have it leveled up, if you have a gem leveled up to at least level 7 or 8, I would go for a giant. It's whatever your playstyle is. If you like the P.E.K.K.A. better with a more DPS with the Inferno Dragon, then I'd definitely go with this deck. I'll show you guys later what kind of variation you can use with this deck. I'll show you guys in a bit. It's something called a graveyard. But we'll get to that later. That's in the later arenas if you guys do want to stick around for that. I'll show you that the deck as well. But this deck, either with a P.E.K.K.A. or the Giant, is really, really good. It's just a big counter push deck. Not only many people can stop it. If you don't have the Inferno Dragon, just keep the Musketeer in there. It really serves the same purpose other than not heavily having the same the mini tank or the tank killing aspect, but it has a good air defense. So a good ranged air defense. So just keep using this deck. Otherwise, if you do have the Inferno Dragon, definitely put in Inferno Dragon for Musketeer. So onto Arena 10 here, we can see that the card unlocks are E-Barbs, Minion Horde, Furnace, Hunter, Golem, Ram Rider, and Lava Hound. So once again, this deck will thrive quite well if you have the Giant, or you have the P.E.K.K.A. plus Inferno Dragon, or if you have Giant plus Inferno Dragon. This can definitely destroy those decks completely. If you have the arrows plus you have the Musketeer, you can just pop the Lava Hound, instantly kill it with the arrows. So overall, just keep using this deck. It's a very, very safe option for these arenas because the P.E.K.K.A. is really heavily healthy. You have the Skarmy, you have the Witch, you have the Goblin Cage even still that you've still been using for the Arena 1. Very, very valuable overall. You can also just sub in Tombstone if you guys want to. It's really on personal preferences on buildings, but overall I would suggest using this deck. Alright, now moving on to Electro Valley, where you can see a lot of Electro cards. Very, very annoying cards overall for this deck. The deck in particular we will show. Now, obviously, E-Giant, not really too much of an issue because of the Goblin Cage, just place it. Against E-Giant, you want to just generally, if it's going around this side here like this, you want to just place it like right here. Place a cage right here, the E-Giant will just keep walking on like this, and it's going to go ahead and just go right here, and then both towers will be able to hit it. Or you then can place your P.E.K.K.A., you can then place your Witch, whatever you have in cycle for that E-Giant, and it'll just kill it instantly. Now, the Zappies, of course, you can just kill with the Fireball, even with Fireball arrows if it's not high level. The E-Wiz, not going to do too much against a Fireball plus arrows. It's a very, very good. Still, once again, I'm telling you, guys, this is like one of the best decks you guys can use. Of course, you don't have Inferno Dragon. Once again, you can use the Musketeer, stuff as substitutions. So, just between the two of those are probably the two best cards in that arena overall. But yeah, let's move on to arena number 12, where you will unlock one of the best legendaries at the moment. If you get the Graveyard in Spooky Town, it's probably one of the best things you can get. So, if you guys do have a Graveyard, I would just put in Giant instead of P.E.K.K.A. and then put Graveyard instead of Goblin Cage. Now, watch this. This is like one of the meta decks you can use all the way up to Arena 15. You really can just soar up with this very, very easily. Alright, so once you have unlocked the Graveyard, you can use this monstrosity. Giant Graveyard, one of the most oppressive decks in top ladder and even mid ladder as well. Obviously, it's a very, very strong combination. Giant plus Graveyard, people don't really know how to defend that in the arena. So if you do get Graveyard, you're set. You'll make 5,000 trophies very, very easily. Especially if you know how to play Giant Graveyard. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube how to play Giant Graveyard. It's not really too difficult. It's more about just defending, counter-pushing Giant Graveyard. Defending, counter-pushing Giant Graveyard. You don't want to go Giant Graveyard first play. It's not really a good play unless the opponent really makes a big mistake, like going a P.E.K.K.A. in the back. Then you can just go for Giant Graveyard and then just go for Skarmy or a Witch on defense. Very, very strong archetype overall, of course. The one substitution I would make is Inferno Dragon for Musketeer, but that's just if you have the Inferno Dragon. But if you have the Inferno Dragon, you're literally set. You're perfect. You can also put in Snowball if you have it for the Fireball. Make it a little bit cheaper. You can also put in Mini P.E.K.K.A. for Dark Prince, but I prefer Dark Prince over Mini P.E.K.K.A. just because it's not as... they have a nice splash, you have 2 types slash, and you don't have the Witch and Cycle, you have the Goblin, Dark Prince. So I would recommend just using this deck if you have the legendaries of Graveyard plus Inferno Dragon. Very, very good deck. Very easy to play. you guys are looking for a deck that's absolutely crushing. If you have these cards in this arena, you're absolutely set. Be absolutely set for this arena very, very easily. Otherwise, honestly, you might as well just keep rocking with this deck. There's no reason to change the deck. It's honestly the perfect deck. So yeah, this will go up all the way, and I honestly just use it onto all the arenas. There's no point not to. Of course, if you have the cards available, I would for sure go for more of a meta style deck. Depends, of course, on your card unlocks. But honestly, guys, this deck you can use all the way up to Arena 15. If you really wanted to, you could use it all the way up. If you don't have any legendaries, you can just use it all the way up in Arena 15. It's probably the most legendary-friendly deck. It's probably the most free-to-play decks for the most part. Until level maybe 9 or 10. You can get it definitely in you can have it very easily, but you definitely want to either look you want to get Inferno Dragon, or you want to get a Graveyard. One of those two will definitely complete the deck and make you win a lot more games. But yeah, that's gonna be my guide for today. Of course, this deck will be from a viable, basically, I think, from 11 to 11-15. It really depends on what cards you have unlocked, but if you have this set of cards, it is the perfect deck for you to level up and play in the arena. Of course, if you want to unlock the Graveyard, then you can start playing Giant Graveyard. You can obviously play P.E.K.K.A. Graveyard. You can play a bunch of other things, but this is the non-Graveyard version. And this is with the Graveyard version. Of course, you can sub in the spells. You can do Fireball Arrows. You can do Arrow Snowball. You can do... I wouldn't do Fireball Zap because then it resets the tower, but there's a lot of things you can do with this deck for sure. So... anyways, hope you guys did enjoy the video. These are my best decks that I would select from even 1 to 15. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Leave a like if you did. Comment down below if you guys want to see more. If you guys want to see some deck guides, interactions, how to play certain decks, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, until next time, peace out, guys.